On this episode of Star Trek Universe, we are reviewing Discovery 413 Coming Home and talking about the new actor playing James Kirk in Strange New Worlds. Right after these very important words from our mystery sponsors.
Welcome to Star Trek Universe, the Star Trek podcast where you get to listen in on the continuing conversation between two lifelong friends who've been watching this stuff for a long, long time. My name is Matthew Carroll.
I am David C. Robertson.
How you doing, bud?
I'm okay, man. This week has been like, I don't know if you saw this. I put out a tweet and I was like, me as a DC Comics and Star Trek fan, hey guys, what did Warner Brothers do today to piss us off? And then, nope, it's Paramount this week. Fine. And like, I'm not pissed off. I think it's awesome. And I'm very interested. But yeah, they released this information. They put out a picture of Paul Wesley from, I just told you about the Vampire Diaries. Tell Me a Story. He's a director. He's done a bunch of TV shows, but they put out a picture of him in the gold tunic with the Enterprise insignia on his shirt in the center seat on a bridge. I assume that means it's the Enterprise because of the insignia. And they said that he has been cast as James Kirk for the second season of Strange New Worlds. I suspect they put that out because I saw a lot of people complaining, like, why would they put that out when we haven't even gotten an episode of Strange New Worlds season 1? I suspect there were set pictures that were going to come out because right after this dropped, set pictures came out.
Right.
And in those set pictures, he was standing with the Khan, I think, woman, the woman that's named Khan. She's a descendant of Khan.
Yeah.
And he has a different insignia on his shirt, so it looks like he's from a different ship. I think because there are a lot of people worried about whether or not he'll interact a lot with Pike, because technically, according to canon, he only said he ever met Pike the one time when he took over the Enterprise. So everyone's like, how could he have adventures with Pike? Okay. I think he is on the Enterprise in this picture, and I think it's going to be like maybe a standalone episode where he like has a flashback to some like joint mission with someone from Enterprise while he's on another ship or something. But that's what it looks like based on what I'm seeing. But I'm excited. I think it's interesting to bring in the character, and I don't know. I just say let's hold off on our vitriolic rage and
just
wait.
I feel like if people listen to this show, we're not the two that are constantly full of vitriolic rage, so we don't even have to worry about what everyone else is saying. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, it's people are going to respond negatively
whether or not
everything.
Whether or not it's toxic or not, people are genuinely concerned about, like, well, what are they doing? Like, sure. I had 3 or 4 people message me as the host of this show and say, what are they doing? I'm hearing that Kirk is going to be a main cast member, and they're not being toxic about it, but they're saying, what are they doing? And I'm saying, we don't know how often he's going to be on the show. We don't know if he's recurring or anything. He might just be a guest spot. Yeah,
for sure. It could mean that they're getting ready to like pass the torch at some point. That's my initial thought is like, what if Strange New Worlds Pike edition is a 1-season run?
Yeah, I have considered that.
And maybe he does only meet him once, but it's for that passing of the torch. And then, or what if Strange New Worlds is only about Pike, is only about the Enterprise for 1 season? What if the rest is about Pike's adventures after the Enterprise that eventually lead to him, or his working with the students and like almost dying or whatever.
Yeah.
So like there's all kinds of stuff that it could be. Pike. It might introduce this sort of the life of Pike for a season or a half a season on the Enterprise, and then he might move on to something else, and we might continue following his character, or we might continue following the Enterprise. I don't know. We've already got Spock. I'm fine with Kirk joining in.
Yeah.
You know, like, why not? I mean, I don't want them to break canon, but like, I also, you know, I'm happy to see them experiment. If they're doing the prequel thing, just if they're doing it, might as well do it. I was excited for a show though. The show I have in my head is just The Adventures of Pike, and like, it, even though it's a prequel, it can sort of skirt canon the way that Enterprise did. You know, like it can live in the world of Star Trek without breaking it. You know.
Yeah, they might still be doing that. We don't know.
Yeah,
we have
absolutely.
no idea. We know nothing. That's my only point.
This is probably a good call for. And announcing it before season 1 is probably a good call, because it's, while me and you sit here and a lot of our listeners are going to know who Pike is and all of that, like the understanding of where this show fits in the canon, I don't think a lot of people understood where Discovery fit in the canon, you know?
Yeah.
And that's probably one of the reasons they brought in a young Spock, you know? Like for the average Joe who's not a huge Star Trek fan, go, oh, Spock's on that show now. Maybe I'll check out Star Trek, you know? And this is probably the same thing. Like, hey, this show might eventually have Kirk. Get it? That's where we are. That's when we are.
Yeah. Well, you know, I think I can't remember when it's supposed to be 2265 or 61 or so, I don't know. But there is leeway for them to like slowly bring in more and more TOS stuff, and for Pike to actually have, I think it would be like a 5-year run, if I remember correctly, from what I was reading, between where this starts and where Pike would wind up getting burnt or irradiated or whatever.
All right.
So, I think it would be interesting if we did do like standalone episodes like on Kirk's Enterprise, where he's like remembering certain things and certain stories.
Sure.
But
yeah, I mean, who wouldn't want to see I don't know, modern, well-produced episode that's set in Kirk's timeline? I don't know, Kirk's Enterprise. You know, like I think that'd be a lot of fun. We've seen it in the movie form, where it's always got to be, it's always got to be an intergalactic threat. It's always got to be a, you know, star jumping, whatever. Like, it would be fun to see like just an Enterprise, like a TOS episode. Like if they just filmed a TOS episode and like slotted it into where it fits in the canon, that'd be super cool, man.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Love to see that.
Yeah. And I don't know the guy playing him. My sister says that he fits Kirk.
All right.
So apparently she knows him, and she's like, yeah, he's very Shatner-esque. And I'm like, I saw an interview with him. He just reminded me of Willem Dafoe, which was weird. I was like, I'm not sure.
Weird.
We'll see. We'll see how it works.
Yeah. You mentioned which shows he's been on. I don't know any of them. So.
Yeah, I don't watch any of that stuff.
So yeah, I'm down though. I'm just down for more Star Trek. They're doing a good job. I'm really enjoying what's happening with Picard so far. I haven't seen episode 3 yet. And I'm really enjoyed this season of Discovery, which we can get into now, I guess.
Yeah, man. Let's do it.
So season finale, the 10C, we get to see like what all the 10C is about, sort of. And how did I not expect? You said a few episodes ago that you thought that Book was going to use his telepathy, and I was like, I've been thinking that too. How did neither of us go, oh, that light symbol on his head is going to appear on the heads of the squid monsters? Of course. That was so good.
Yeah, I mean that worked, but I was too busy going, I was right.
Yeah, no, I fully expected that, but then that did not expect the light thing, and I was like, I should have expected the light thing. That's so good.
What I was mad that I didn't suspect was that Tarina would use her telepathy at the beginning.
Huh.
But, you know, I thought this was a really good episode, given how much wrap up this episode was tasked with, because like the back half of the season was like, good Lord, please do something.
Yeah, and then it was very like, get there.
And they could have like used some of that, just throw some things in like a few episodes before so that we can get like some slower character moments. But this was a very like edge of my seat episode.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I am usually willing to or able to compartmentalize and like get wrapped up in the music and the emotions despite feeling like there are no stakes, which I kind of felt like there were no stakes because it's Discovery. Like when she's reacting to Book dying, I'm like, no, the Tennessee are going to save him.
Yeah, I knew that.
Earth's not going to die. Earth will be fine.
I thought Earth was probably going to be fine.
Mm-hmm.
I will say I did really enjoy, even though I knew it was they were probably going to survive, especially since they're like right on the raggedy edge, like let's save it or not, surely they're going to win that battle.
Mm-hmm.
But there were a number of things that like could have gone a different way this episode that I thought, yeah, I could see, like the fact that Tilly and Vance are hanging out. Like I thought there could be a possibility of them dying for Earth right before it's saved. I really liked, as much as I've talked about how this season I was like, it was enough for me that like the DMA is destroying Federation space that I don't really need it to be like at the edge of destroying Earth.
Right.
But I really enjoyed the Tilly and Vance stuff, and it did give a lot of weight to the final episode. So I kind of take all that back. Like I as much as I didn't need that for the stakes, it was very smart of them to give us an episode or give us the view of from Earth, from the fleet trying to save it and getting to see Tilly and Vance and drinking their whiskey. I loved the line. Tarka gave me this whiskey before, or whatever. He's like, that Tarka, what a sweet guy.
Yeah. Yeah, I dug that. I liked everything with Vance and Tilly. Like I said, I was wrapped up in it. I was wrapped up in the music. I was wrapped up in the emotions, the whole vibe of the scene. It felt like a really big deal, but I never believed that they were going to die. Not ever.
Right.
Not ever.
I kept thinking with the Book death, I wanted to believe. I really wanted to believe because I knew it wasn't going to happen, and I really wanted to be surprised in that final moment. But what the thing that made me know as soon as his pattern buffer disappears, they say we have another orb on the way, and I kept trying to think like, how could they have made that believable? Like how could it have worked?
Freaking kill him.
Yeah,
be done with it. Kill him.
No, see, I love the reunion at the end, and I love, it's really, really impactful, and like I wanted that reunion, and I love him getting to talk to them, and him talking about how anger fueled this mission, and like how we have to let that go, and how we have to take down the walls. Like it's all so good.
That was all really good.
Classic Star Trek stuff. I just really, really loved it. But yeah, I wanted to believe. I think maybe even if they didn't show the pattern buffer like appear, because it also, when it disappears in a deal of blue light that we've never seen before. You know what I mean? Like maybe if they hadn't done that effect, like maybe if they like, we're trying to catch this pattern buffer now, we're trying to catch it, and the ship just blew up, maybe I would have believed it more. Him, but it was also very evocative. Him appearing for a second on the bridge and then disappearing was very emotional for Burnham.
I felt like I thought the transporter gleam was exactly the same as all the other transporter gleams on the show. But yeah, I don't know. It's just this. It was so full of red herrings. Like earlier this season, they said, "Oh, we're gonna go on a 3-hour tour," and you're like, "Ah, shit, Gilligan's Island." That's foreshadowing. And then this episode, they're like, "Yeah, we're gonna burn out the spore drive, which will leave us stranded and take decades." And you're like, "Okay, so yeah, maybe they're gonna do that." But then, like, I was thinking, like, the fact that they mentioned it again makes me think they're not gonna do that. If they had just left it at 3-hour tour, I would have been like, But the fact they're bringing it up again, not so much.
Yeah, I bought that. I really did. And I liked that they didn't do a big deal about it, where like Burnham's like, crew, I know you're, I forget, I think there's like a moment in Voyager where like Janeway like talks to the crew about the decision and stuff to like strand them on that side of the wormhole. Yeah. And they all have to go like, yes, we'll do it or whatever. I like that Burnham's just like, nah, I'm captain. Like we have to do this. We have to save we have to do the right Federation thing.
Here's what bugs me though, is that the spore drive at all worked. Given that they said they couldn't use it a few episodes ago because the mycelial network petered out just outside of the barrier.
Well, they couldn't travel on the mycelial network. They
still use the spore drive, which in of itself is using the traveling along the mycelial network to get outside of the bubble.
No, they didn't.
Or were they just like making a hole with it
to generate energy, as they said.
Okay,
they used it. It was like they said the only thing on the ship that created enough energy to do what Book did or what Tarka did.
Gotcha.
On a larger scale was the spore drive, and like they basically just used it as a power generation system that like shorted out the bubble they were in.
Okay, that makes me feel better because I was like, wait a minute, help.
That's what he says. Like normally it propels us along the mycelial network, but if we do it and stay in place, it'll cause this.
So let me ask you this: what did I miss? Because when did the dimension that Oros was supposedly going to become like the Star Trek universe version of Plato's ideal plane? It's like the Nexus now. I thought it was just a place Oros disappeared to that was supposed to be a utopia. But now, like, for the first time, it seems like Tarka's like, oh, Quasion's going to be there and everybody you lost is going to be there.
Well, no, I think it's just another universe that Oros traveled to. So I think he's just assuming that other parts of the universe will be there.
Yeah.
It's like a parallel universe where everything didn't go to shit. Like, I think that's what the idea is.
Yeah, but he was just talking with such certainty, like, are you that deluded? But then, I'm like, is it the Nexus? Could it have been the Nexus? Like, that would be awesome. Is the Nexus linked to this place, this perfect universe?
I think it's just that they were trying to go, he's trying to go to this parallel universe that's supposed to where things are better. And I don't even know that the parallel universe is real. We talked about it last week, Tarka showing up there and being like, it just being a wasteland. It could be. We don't know if Oros's idea of this other plane was real. You know what I mean? It all seems like prisoner logic. And that's the thing is, like, Book says at the end of this, he's like, I just kind of wish they'd had this conversation earlier in the season, because it does feel like, it feels like a how it should have ended thing. Like, or he tells him the story of him and Oros in prison together, and he goes, that probably just means he died in prison, right? Like, that's probably what happened. He's not there because they killed him. Like,
yeah,
and it just never cut. And they never have that conversation until like literally 2 minutes left.
Yeah.
Could have had that conversation at any point. If Book thought that as soon as he was like imprisoning him or something, they could have had that conversation.
And then, like, after, like, he has been completely stubborn and single-minded this entire time, and, like, with, like, a 2-minute speech, he's like, you're right. I'm sorry. I was just like, that's bullshit.
Yeah. I feel like Tarka was pretty single-minded, and that one conversation wouldn't have done it. Something needed to happen. Something needed to, like, make him change his mind. And also, why did he need to change his mind? Like, in the end, it's Ndoye who disrupts their plan.
I think they were like looking for some kind of redemption for Tarka because they made us feel bad for him earlier.
Exactly.
And I just I never felt bad for him.
Yeah, they wanted it to be like a beautiful ending where they like he crashes and you kind of hope he made it to his his pleasure planet or whatever.
Pleasure planet. What was it in the original series where they talked about Ripley's pleasure planet or something?
Yep, they do. Ripley's pleasure planet.
It's like the early Risa. but somehow more like it feels like more of a carnival type of planet, doesn't it? Like
yeah,
this
for
feels
sure.
more gross.
Especially, I don't know if Ripley's Believe It or Not was a thing back then.
Yeah.
But everywhere you go where there's like a tourist trap has those Ripley's Believe It or Nots. And now that that's a thing in our world, I just imagine Ripley's Pleasure Planet is like a continuation of that franchise out into the Federation space.
Yeah. It just sounds gross though. It sounds like I don't know, like Barnum's Circus or something, like Ripley's Pleasure Planet.
Exactly.
Come on down. Emphasis on the word come.
Oh.
Have a donut and vagina. Both at the same time.
Don't get the two confused. Or do.
Everything's kosher down on Ripley's Pleasure Planet. Come let a Klingon shit on your chest.
Oh gosh.
Only 5 quatlus.
Gotta move on. Gotta get out of this spiral. I was talking about the three of them that sort of like the betrayers, right? Ndoye, Book, and Tarka. Like they all three have a turn where they start like working towards the same ends as Discovery, even Tarka. And I'm not sure that any of them make sense. Like Ndoye realizes she was wrong because Book was a hostage, but he wasn't a hostage when they spoke. And there's nothing, they don't even tell her that, like, they don't even say in that conversation where they put her in the brig or whatever, or confine her to her quarters. They don't even tell her that, like, what he's going to do is going to still destroy Earth. It'll just take longer, which is the whole thing. Like, they're like, this doesn't make sense. Like, yes, people will evacuate. They're still going to destroy Earth, and it's risking this mission, you know? And it won't stop the DMA long term, you know, all this stuff. Like,
right.
Well, I guess it would stop the DMA long term because it'll kill the 10C. But, it, you know, it's like, we're the Federation. We're not going to genocide the species. Like, I don't know. I just felt like her turn didn't make a lot of sense. And then Tarka's turn didn't make a lot of sense. I feel like Book's turn, last episode or whatever, made sense. But neither of their turns, Ndoye or Tarka, I bought Ndoye's more than Tarka's for sure. But Tarka, at that point, is so single-minded. I just can't imagine that he would turn at the last second like that. And it would have just been more effective if he's just like riding into that thing fully ready to do what he has to do. And he could still grab his transporter and be like, as Book's transporting away, he's like, transport away with me. Come on, Tarka. And he's like, no, I'm staying. There's a possibility the energy will still be created. And he's like, no, you're delusional, Tarka. It's not happening. And then he dies with that little bit of hope. You know, that still could happen without him having to turn at the last second.
Right. I was fine with Ndoye's turn. I actually liked that because I walked out of last episode feeling like she was a coward. And here I feel like, you know, they're putting the crew under lockdown and everything. We're going to figure out how this happened. And she's just like, no, you know what? Straight talk. I did the shit.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Here was my reasoning.
I love that too. I also, I say all that I didn't buy her turn. I didn't, but like, I bought it more than Tarka's again. The thing I really didn't buy though is they'd trust her because her turn really didn't have any logic to it. Then for them to trust her with the kamikaze mission, I was like, why? Like, I don't know that you want to risk the universe and Earth and the 10C on this person who just betrayed you. Like, I kind of thought, like, sorry, I kind of wanted to, like, sorry, you don't get the hero's death. Even if you're being real with us right now, we can't trust you. Detmer has to go to her death right now. And, like, that shame of, like, you've lost the trust to be the hero in this moment. Like, thank you for the idea, but you're going back to the brig. Like, we can't trust you to be the person behind the stick on this one. And, like, yeah. I think that would have been more effective. And like, I just felt like her, I understand the idea of her getting the last hero's death as she's like, you know, Wait, did they get?
Yeah.
No, they got her out at the end.
Yeah, they got her out at the end.
They got her out at the end.
And she was rewarded by, getting to meet the president of the earth. And
Yes.
yeah,
Which she probably knew the president of the earth. She was like the general of the earth. But like, which Stacey Abrams, hey.
yeah, Georgia Senate Minority Leader running for governor.
Yeah.
That was cool. I didn't recognize her at first too. Like they totally they totally shot it like I was supposed to know who it was. I'm like, oh, who's it gonna be? Like the way they're shooting it,
right?
And then like the doors open, and I was like, it's just a lady. Wait, I do know her. Oh, yes. Like it took me a minute because I was like, was it gonna be like Sarek's head in a jar? Like, what did they do? Like,
Sarek's head in a jar. Oh, that's silly as fuck. But no, I knew Stacey Abrams, and I'm a big fan of Stacey Abrams. I think she's a freaking badass. And I thought it was really cool that it also was very like on the nose. Stacey Abrams for president, anyone? Like that's been a very big talking point on the left side of things. Like Stacey Abrams for president for sure, she'd be awesome. So her being the president of the Federation was cool, and a big Star Trek fan apparently. I remember hearing that, and you told me that before we started, so that's super cool. Love it.
Yeah, man. So that was neat, and I'm always happy whenever a Star Trek fan gets to be involved. You know what I mean? Like, that's always neat.
Yeah. And the thing is, when they showed her walk out, and the first shot they showed her, she didn't have any lines, and it kind of like showed her from the side and like showed her from the front and then showed her from the side. And I was like, oh, that's going to be a nice little like nod to Stacey Abrams gets to be like the physical representation of the future president. That's cute. And then it was going to move on. But they gave her a whole scene with Michael. Like they finished the season on like, not the last shot, but like, they finished the season letting, or was it? Was that that was the last scene pretty much, right? I'm trying to remember if the book thing happened, booking happened before, right? The book scene, was that before or after that?
I can't remember, man.
I'm jumbling it in my head. Anyway, one of the last scenes of the season was them having a conversation about where goes the future of the Federation now, and like she got a whole bunch of lines. I was like, man, good job, Stacey Abrams. I was like, this is cool stunt casting, but Stacey Abrams put in the work and like acted. I liked it.
She did a good job, for real.
She was acting as a politician, which she is. And she was probably just like acting as herself, kind of, but like it worked. It really worked.
Yeah. I mean, Lisa Bonet has done that for years, made a whole career out of just acting like herself. I have never seen Lisa Bonet act like anyone but Lisa Bonet, which is fine. I like Lisa Bonet. But
yes, I said almost the exact same thing. We did a review of the Batman for MCU Cast this week. And that was my exact thing. That you just it's almost said my exact sentence. I was like it wasn't so revolutionary as a Batman movie. It was a Batman movie. Don't get me wrong. I really like a Batman movie. Like it didn't need to be revolutionary, but it was a Batman movie. But it just seemed like, it's a Batman movie as it should be. A Batman movie.
Yeah. I with that, I wound up going, hey, that's not like as groundbreaking as I thought it would be. It was all right. It was pretty good.
Yeah.
But like the more I've thought about like Bruce's arc and just I've warmed up to it quite a bit. It has jumped a few on my ranking.
Okay.
For sure. So
I would love to hear more about that.
Maybe someday.
I don't want to spoil it right here in the middle of this review.
No.
Anything else about Discovery? And we could throw a little. I'd love to hear more about what you're thinking about Bruce's arc, though. Let's see. Did you like where they left Book?
I was fine with it. Honestly, like this works really well as a series finale.
Sure. Yeah, 100%.
It really did. It worked really well as a series finale. And it was one of those things where like, yes, I want all the things. I want more Star Trek. But I'm kind of sad that's not the series finale.
It does work really well as like, really I completely agree with you. Yeah. I mean, I'm not saying at all that I'm like, I'm not mad. I'm getting more Discovery, but I do think it's a really, really good ending to this story. everybody found a good place. Everybody found family. Yeah. Like Saru ends up
with Tarina,
with his Vulcan lady. Yeah, no, it really did. Everyone's in a happy, good place. I mean, with the exception of Book needing to go to, I guess, be conscripted by Starfleet as his prison sentence.
Oh, I mean, he's got community service. That's what he's got.
Yeah, but I mean, like, I did have, you know, where was, because Burnham was on her way in the very third episode after the Battle of the Binary Stars. Burnham was like on her way to some sort of work detail, right? Like that was I mean, and this was 1,000 years before.
Well, she was, I don't remember. God, it's been so long.
Yeah, they were like on a shuttle. And I don't know if you remember that episode.
She was on a shuttle and they were wearing
like
prison uniforms.
Some sort of prison like duty or something. I remember them talking about that. It may have just been like a labor camp type thing, but it does seem like that's at least across these 1,000 years. That's something the Federation does is puts people to work when they've done something horrible.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you know, they did say the president did say that his reasons would be considered because that's fair.
Yeah.
And so he was not going to prison. Like, he was very pleased he was not going to prison. He was just going to go help worlds that were affected by the DMA.
The only thing that would have made this a season finale for me would have been...
Series?
Yeah, series. Nope. The only thing that would have made it a season finale, I don't count it. I'm waiting on next week's. The only thing that would have made this a series finale for me is if they had connected it back to her decision at the Binary Stars. Mm-hmm. And let her like make her have that moment of empathy for him that like he's like, I know you could never understand why I did what I did, and she's like, you don't think I could understand? Like, I've told you about my past. I started a war because I did it, you know, like I definitely have been where you are. I'm not there anymore. Like I've grown past that kind of like rash decision making, and I trust the people around me and all this. Like let her make those have that moment of like pointing out like, you are the person I was 4 years ago. And like I could have seen there could have been a really strong scene there.
And I'm so amazing. I can only be in love with myself. I don't know if you've seen the show, but I'm awesome. I do everything really well.
Yeah, that's true. It's true. Yeah, I loved it. I loved them slipping into a couple speak at the end and just like having that 5 minutes was really nice. And him disappearing, it was rough.
Kind of heartbreaking, yeah.
It was real heartbreaking.
Yeah. I love that she didn't pronounce that right. And he was like, nope. And she's like, yep, I said it right the first time.
Yeah, it was great. It was exactly Burnham's character. And I loved the story about them. It's such a great moment for them. They're talking about the moment he fell in love with her. And she says, I'm not shivering. I'm moving to warm my body up. He's like, that's what shivering is. Like that is just so perfectly both of them. Yeah. And perfectly like a believable scene of like love beginning. You know, I really found that just perfect. Really good moment.
I did like as schlocky as it is sometimes, I did really enjoy the coupling of, hey, 10C, you've got to bring down your barriers to live, to truly live and to not harm and all this shit. Mm-hmm. And then this is the same thing with Saru talking to Tarina and like, you've got to bring down your barriers so that each day can be a little brighter.
Yeah. Well, and you're talking about schlocky and on the nose. Like, I also think it was a direct political statement about now and today and where we are as a country, and a world, really with the bring, like literally like you got to bring down your wall. Like, and then at the end, it literally being Stacey Abrams stepping out of a shuttle being like, okay, we've gotten this far, but we've got a lot of work to do. Like we're starting to bring the Federation together again, which is literally like the world right now, like trying to bring us back into the global community and like There's definitely like a lot going on there where it's like, okay, we've gotten past this horrible thing that is Donald Trump, but and we brought the wall down. Like, and where do we go from here? It worked for me. I didn't think it was too on the nose. The Stacey Abrams of it all may be a little too on the nose, but I like her a lot and I'm down for it.
If like it was Stacey Abrams and then like her husband came out and it was Barack Obama, then I'd be like, okay, too much.
It's just a little too far, guys.
That said, Obama is a Star Trek fan, so
also our adoptive grandfather's here and Biden comes strolling out. Hey guys, finger guns everywhere.
You don't want to listen to him, but he's a symbol of hope for now.
He's not like our first choice. Here's our grandpa. Here's our past grandpa president, who we used him to get through a rough patch, but she's president now. Okay.
And what a rough patch it is.
Okay, real quick, since we any other Discovery talk, anything else to say about this episode?
I do have something else to say.
Please.
Did you notice that they mentioned like, oh yeah, Bryce is gonna meet us down there if Kovich will let him? I'm like, yeah, you're totally gonna spin off, you bastards. Something's happening. Son of a bitch.
Oh man, yeah, it is weird that it does seem like they're setting up 5 spinoffs from this show, and I'm down, but it's also the least popular Star Trek series. So it's like, I mean, and you know, I think of even of the ones that are out right now, I think the others seem to be getting a better reception. I think part of that is just this one was first, so it's like the new era and like trying to push the new, like trying to be new, trying to do something different, and it's tough to get that done. But anyway,
well, I mean, I don't know that it's the least popular. I really have no idea what the ratings look like because they're not. I haven't seen them release those numbers. It just keeps getting renewed.
Yeah. Well, I don't necessarily think the numbers are bad. I don't know anything about that. I'm just talking about the reception online and like the reception of people I know. And there's tons of people who started Discovery. And every time I talk to people, they're like, "Oh, is that still on?" Like, but they're all like, "Oh, Picard season 2. Yeah, that's coming out soon."
Yeah.
And then I even hear pretty much nothing but positive about Lower Decks and Prodigy. You know?
Well, I mean, those are just fantastic. I mean, look, Prodigy is my favorite of all of them right now.
Right.
Now, as an old school Star Trek fan and a new school Star Trek fan, I like Prodigy the most and Discovery the least of all of those. But I still see a lot of like really positive stuff about Discovery from, online. So it's just hard to tell. Like, I feel like Picard gets more shit than anything.
Interesting.
From where I'm seeing.
Weirdly, when Discovery is working, I think I might like it the best. And when it's not working, I like it the least. Like some of the best, like this episode, some of the best Star Trek I've seen. Like, it's great. I love it. But other episodes, I'm like, just get to the next thing. I see what you're doing. I think the writing's a little transparent. And so like...
They are not subtle on Discovery.
Yeah. So I just like see what's coming from a mile away. I mean, ever since... like some of the particulars have changed and are different, but like ever since 10 episodes ago or whatever it was when they first said that the DMA had relocated to Earth and Vulcan, I was like, all right, so we're gonna go out to the edge of the barrier and like have the final episode be this, and it's like, okay, let's wait 5 episodes, 6 episodes to do that, and So I get restless during Discovery because I kind of just see where it's going. Okay, let's get there.
Which season 5 is 10 episodes. They cut it down 3.
Good.
I think when season 6 comes around and they've cut it down to 8, we'll be in a really good place.
That's about how many good ones there are a season.
Yep.
What's that line from Futurama? 66 episodes, about 20 good ones.
That's the joke, but yeah, 79 episodes, about 30 good ones.
Yeah. From talking about TOS. That's Futurama, right?
Yep, that's the episode where no fan has gone before. It's my favorite episode of probably anything ever.
All right. Well, can we move on? Are you finished with Discovery?
Yeah, I think so.
So, the Batman spoiler alert. What's your advancement on the arc of Bruce?
I really like do you remember how he was very forceful with Selina? There were a couple of really uncomfortable moments where he's like very judgmental of her lifestyle and the things that she has done. And he wants to know what her relationship is to Falcone.
Right.
And you get this idea, like almost like a jealousy type of thing, but it's also like they just did a really good job with like at the beginning, Bruce is very black and white. He sees things in a very specific, like either you're bad or you're good,
right,
kind of way. And then like with the revelation of what his dad did and his dad's ties to Falcone, even if they were for good reasons, he still operated in shades of gray to achieve a greater goal.
Mm-hmm.
And then to also like be dealing with Selina and knowing that just because she's a thief and just because she may have had some sort of like, there's always this like, it was Bruce's own discovery of having to embrace in some places the light, in some places the dark, like, and then his like arc at the end of being like, I have to come, and offer hope as well. Like, I really loved that, like when he was trying to save people, like they were too scared of him to take his help.
Yeah. I
loved that notion. It brought me back to some really good Darwin Cook comics, where Superman pops up and he's like, oh, you changed your costume. And what's with the kid? Like, cause Bruce is suddenly like moved on from Golden Age Batman to Silver Age Batman. He's got Robin. He's like, what'd you do? And he was like, I'm trying to scare criminals, not children. I really liked that. I really thought it was a neat turn. And I liked, the more I thought about it, the more I liked the fact that part of that was because the Riddler told him, we kept thinking that he knew that Bruce was Batman, but then he was like, we almost got him. We almost got Bruce Wayne.
Yeah.
And then Batman's like, shit, the way I show myself off, the way I do things makes these bad guys think they're in league with me.
Oh yeah.
Like,
yeah, no, I think that's definitely in there.
I liked all of that quite a lot. Mm-hmm. And, there were other things like he was so mad at Alfred, it's all the same thing. Like, dude, you lied to me. And he's like, your dad was a good man. He did what he had to do for this reason.
Right. It's also that they also left it murky enough though with the dad stuff that I didn't really get the sense that the dad had done something. He did like basically the dad's only real.
He just wanted Falcone to scare him.
Right.
And then,
yeah. So that is bad, but it's not as bad. It's not nearly as bad as what like the Falcone or like everyone else is accusing his dad of, or who was it? The Penguin that was accusing his dad of that?
Riddler.
Okay.
Riddler.
Yeah. There's some points I really don't like. And for one thing, I think the Riddler, what I wanted from the movie, I've realized this more and more as I've like thought about it. Mm-hmm. I wanted Black Panther. Uh-huh. I wanted the Riddler to win the moral argument, but have used the wrong tactics.
I think he did.
Except when he tried to drown the city. Which is why,
that was weird.
Huge leap. He's this guy who's after corruption. I'm going to stop the corruption in the city. And here's the rewrite that I have for this movie, because they're listening to me, is if instead of being mad at Bruce Wayne because of the sins of the father, and just because even that's a leap, like Bruce Wayne is also an orphan, like, be mad at Bruce Wayne because he never stepped up as Bruce Wayne
Right.
and stopped the corruption of his
Yes.
dad's own fund. Like, if that could have happened in that movie, I would have just been, because I just wanted it to end, and I've said this on 4 podcasts at this point probably, but I really wanted it to, so if you guys follow Stranded Panda, you might have heard me say this.
Yeah.
I really wanted it to end after Falcone's death and just end on the scene in the room where Batman realizes that this guy doesn't hate Batman. He loves Batman because he wanted to bring down Bruce Wayne. And he wants to bring down Bruce Wayne for a good reason, because Bruce Wayne had the power to step up and stop the corruption, and Bruce Wayne never did that. And then he realizes he's got to be more than just Batman.
Yeah.
And then I want the last scene to be him like putting on the mask that is Bruce Wayne for the first time.
That would have been dope.
That's what I wanted.
But I think in some ways, like, we're building towards that still. Like,
I totally agree.
but yeah,
Totally agree.
I do understand and agree with that to some degree. Yeah.
The whole last hour of the movie feels like they needed the Riddler stakes to go up. This is a problem, as we talk about it with Discovery all the time. They needed Earth to be in trouble. And so instead of it being enough that Batman has personal stakes to like feel bad that he inspired the Riddler and that be enough for the end of the movie, it has to go to like Batman has to stop 15 guys dressed as the Riddler while they're trying to shoot all the politicians and the whole city for some reason. He wanted to stop corruption and now he wants to kill the whole city. It's not the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah. There are some weird leaps in there, I think, but overall I like it a lot more than I initially did. For sure. And if you want to hear me talk about it ad nauseum with actual notes where I actually wrote down my thoughts, DCOnscreen.com.
Yeah. Please, you guys go check out DC on Screen. They actually know way more about the DC stuff than than I ever do. Have you and Jason gotten to do your full episode yet?
Of the review? Yeah.
Yeah, good. Sweet.
Yeah. It was we did a whole thing.
I'm gonna go listen to it for sure.
Yeah, that's a good call. Instead of you just being like, "Hey, Dave, what are your thoughts on this?" I'm like, just go listen to my show and get me a couple of clicks, man.
Well, I do. I basically listen to your show whenever you talk about something that I'm caught up on, which is rare these days. But whenever there's a movie, I always come check it out.
Right.
Just curious because you said you'd been evolving. I'm just curious where your thought process was.
Yeah, I usually pop out of a movie and go, "Okay, that was terrible," and I never change my mind.
Right.
Or I come out of a movie and I feel like I don't like it, and then like I warm up to it substantially, or I love it and then sour on it quickly.
I have seen you many times really dislike a movie and then hear that it was better than you think. And then go back years later and be like, that was a great movie. I was just a bad mood. Or something like it didn't resonate with you the first time, but on the second viewing, you're like, oh, yeah.
I have done that enough to be able to recognize when that's happening, though.
Right, yeah. Same.
And it's like I said in my first thoughts on DC on Screen, I was like, look, man, I was in a theater. It was late at night. I was half asleep. I was not feeling great about being there. My anxiety was like super high.
Right.
So that might be affecting it. I'm going to think about it for a couple of days and really get into this later. Self-aware enough to know now where I'm like, like if me and you went to a movie, if you were like, hey man, let's go to a movie. And then I go, and then like you used to do, 15 people were there that I didn't know about. I'm going to be pissed and I'm not going to like that movie for 3 years at least.
That old adage, know thyself. I used to hear that and I used to think like, know thyself, like know who you are, know your essence. And the older I get, that phrase just means like know
how to enjoy a movie.
Know how that's my motivations in life have gotten much smaller. No, just know your faults.
Yeah.
Accept them and love yourself while still knowing that like, yeah, this is a blind spot for me. Like I know that I can change my mind. I know that I can be wrong about something. Like I find that all the time. I think that's like really, really, it's rad. It's rad that you know your experience of a movie can change and grow. And I tend to get a little locked in still. in a lot of movies. But I don't know. Sometimes I'm often on a rewatch. I will feel a little differently. But yeah, that's rad. All right. Well, I just wanted to hear you talk about it. We're going to go watch Picard and talk about that too, and we'll drop that in the feed in a couple days, guys. If you're enjoying the show, please throw us a review on iTunes or whatever. If you've enjoyed this coverage of Discovery.
This is Star Trek Covery 413. Apostrophe Covery.
We've been working hard to get these out, and we would really appreciate it if you throw us a 5-star review on iTunes. Helps people find the show. Really helps us out.
Is it still iTunes or is it Apple Podcasts? I thought
Apple
iTunes went away.
Podcast, it did. I don't know. Whatever it's called. Wherever you're listening.
I'm so confused.
Wherever you're listening to this, drop us a like or a thumbs up or a 5-star or a whatever's there.
Sorry. I wasn't trying to call you out or anything. I was like,
no, you're
dude,
right.
Okay, look, we as podcasters get stuck in our grooves, and like I hear other podcasters go, yeah, leave us a thing on iTunes. And I'm like, I have been told over and over again that iTunes is no longer a thing. Is it a thing or isn't it? I'm so confused.
It is not. Although I think it still works. Like if you have iTunes on an old computer, it's still connected. So,
okay.
Whatever. I don't know when that may stop being supported at some point, but yeah, if you're on a Mac,
Apple Podcasts
is where we are. All right. Mm-hmm. Thanks, guys. Joel on True.
Live long and prosper.
What was the thing? I said it right.
That's the best I've got.
Thank you for listening to the Star Trek Universe Podcast, a Stranded Panda production. If you'd like to hear more from David C. Robertson, check out the DC On Screen podcast or maladjusted.tv for his web videos. If you'd like to hear more from Matthew Carroll, check out the Marvel Cinematic Universe podcast or listen to his music. Just search for Matthew Carroll anywhere you get music.